was willing to hear out everyone's point of view and take questions and debate topics in a civil and political way, as he demonstrated better than anybody for years at this point. The president has confirmed Charlie's death. He tweeted out, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." Obviously, President Trump has a long-standing relationship with Charlie. Charlie was a big part of how President Trump was elected in 2024 and how he was elected in 2016, for that matter. A generational voice, the generational voice in politics. And it's on that point that as we're all processing this awful news, the first thing that comes to my mind, beyond the sadness for his family, for his wife, his young kids, his millions and millions of admirers, and his many, many friends, is that Charlie Kirk would have been president. Charlie Kirk would have been president. His friends knew it. His many, many admirers knew it. And his enemies, to whom he was always so gracious, they knew it too. Everybody knew it. I remember I think even before I first met Charlie, so now we're talking many, many years ago, people would joke, they'd say, well, we're all going to be working for Charlie Kirk someday. The first time I met Charlie was in a green room of a cable news outlet. I think we were in LA. It was for a morning show. So this was 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. I lived in LA at the time. I was slumped over half asleep. Charlie, I don't know where he was living. Charlie lived on airplanes. And he shows up bouncing off the walls, full of energy, just wanted to talk about everything. And he, of course, was able to reach the very heights of media, of politics, of activism, of American public life. And so then I think, all right, why did we all have such confidence that Charlie would be president? Well, he looked the part, very, very tall. I used to joke with him that he was descended from the Nephilim. Very tall, good-looking guy, extraordinarily articulate. That's part of it. Very, very sharp. So sharp that he dropped out of college. That's how you know that someone's very intelligent these days. Self-educated largely, but so unbelievably curious. So he would do fellowship programs. He would read books. He would ask for books to read. He would, and I think a lot of people think that when you look at someone in politics, especially at the height that Charlie was at, that all they ever want to do is talk about politics. And when they see, when we would see each other, he'd see his other friends around the country, and that isn't true. He was much more interested in talking about the thing that you were interested in. And he was interested in it because he just wanted to get as much knowledge as he could from all of these experts around him and from all of the people who weren't expert, but just had a special interest. And Charlie's interests were so varied. But at their core, they were not merely political in the quotidian sense. They were deeply philosophical. And the fact that he had no formal philosophical training is probably why he was so good at it and interested in it. And then ultimately it was religious. So I think why did we all think Charlie would be president? He looked the part. He was extremely effective at political organizing. He could raise money like nobody's business for a very good cause. He could persuade people through his extraordinary ability to articulate ideas. But I think really what it comes down to is his virtue. And I think this is why everyone knew, his friends, his admirers, and even the enemies that a life in public will engender. They all kind of knew it because he exemplified virtue. The 4 cardinal virtues: prudence, temperance, justice, and fortitude. Extremely prudent. He was just the most skilled political person of his generation, of our generation. Temperance. Nobody was more temperate. I'm not sure the guy ever had a drink. I certainly never saw him have a drink. He was so disciplined, so temperate, where he got so much of his energy from. Justice, extremely fair to people. In fact, more than fair to people. always willing to give people what they deserve and more than they deserve. And fortitude, which is the prerequisite of all of the other virtues. The fact that this guy would go into very hostile territory all the time, not worry about it at all. And events that were open in the air, as this event, where he was fatally shot at a university in Utah. No big fences, just crowds of people, most of them adoring fans, some curious people willing to be persuaded, and unfortunately a handful of enemies and some very, very wicked people. Beyond the cardinal virtues, I think that if you know Charlie at all, even if you don't know him personally, if you just followed him, as most Americans have over the years, you'll see the three theological virtues. That's what he cared about. That's all he and I ever talked about. That is sometimes on camera, often off camera. That's all he wanted to talk about. In fact, the last text that he sent to me concerned that. Deeply, deeply religious, deeply curious. I mean, you could get a zinger in here or there, but for an effect, because he really wanted to know God and he really loved God. And I think you just see in his demeanor, in the way he approached people, his friends and his enemies and everyone in between, you saw an abundant faith. You saw an extraordinary degree of hope, political hope for the country, for helping to improve people's lives here on earth, and a hope that's grounded on a fact, which is the fact of the resurrection, a hope that derives from his confidence that his Redeemer lives. And then, of course, charity. And this I think, inspired Charlie's friends and admirers so much and really scared his enemies, is that in everything Charlie did, there was charity. He wasn't afraid. There was no servile fear whatsoever. So sometimes he could seem almost politically reckless, the way he was willing to debate any idea. But no fear whatsoever, just charity. He was always willing to talk to people about anything. That was what this tour was about, where some of his friends were scheduled to join him along the way. Faith, hope, and charity, very, very scary virtues in a materialist world, in a modern world. And so we, of course, pray for him and for his family. It seemed impossible when the news broke. Such a force of nature did he seem, and so confident were we all for his future. Maybe more than he was, in as much as Charlie had such profound faith, lively faith, that of course I'm sure he knows and knew that every day is a gift and we're not promised anything, and all we can do is the good that we have with the energy that we have in the day that we have, because we might not have tomorrow. With that, I would like to bring on another one of our friends, Cabot Phillips, with updates about what exactly happened, what investigators are learning now. Cabot?
Thanks, Michael. That was really powerful stuff there. I know everyone at home watching is feeling exactly what we're feeling right here, just devastated. But we're going to try our best to get through the news, get as much of the story out there as we can. For people just tuning in, Charlie Kirk is dead at 31 years old. We're still piecing the story together right now, the details as they come in. But here's what we know for people just tuning in. Charlie was speaking at Utah Valley University. He was holding one of his Prove Me Wrong events. For those who aren't familiar, these are the sort of debate style open mic events where thousands of students and others are coming out. And Charlie made a point to give the microphone to anyone who disagreed with him. That was Charlie's thing. He would talk to anybody. He was willing to debate anybody. And one of those events was taking place. One shot rang out. Right now, the university says that shot came from an adjacent building from about 200 yards away. It was one single shot. He was struck in the neck. He was immediately rushed away, but ultimately did die a short time after. Initially, there were reports that a shooter had been detained. There was video going around of a single man being carried away by police. The university is now saying that was not the shooter and that person was not responsible, and that right now the shooter is at large. So we are still waiting to see who was responsible for this heinous crime. At the moment, though, right now, there are a number of police and law enforcement vehicles conducting sweeps all around the campus. As you can imagine, this is an extensive operation. You're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of law enforcement right now combing through. FBI Director Kash Patel has said that his people are already on the ground, that they are investigating this, obviously because of the political nature. So there are FBI resources pulling in. The White House has said that they are deploying any resources possible to try and get to the bottom of who is responsible for this. But again, as of the latest reporting, the shooter is still at large. Police say, the university says that the shooter fired from about 200 yards away, perched up on top of a building. President Trump confirmed the news on social media, writing on Truth Social, quote, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathy go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." Charlie and his wife, Erica, do have 2 young children as well. I know, Michael, you alluded to it. That was his just pride and joy. That's what he wanted to talk about every time. Every time you're with him, that's what he was bringing up. And President Trump making sure to mention that fact. But again, for those just tuning in, the shooter reportedly still on the loose. People are, there's a lot of conflicting reports coming in, so we're trying to sift through all of this, and I'm sure our audience will bear with us there. Our editor emeritus, Ben Shapiro, also just recently issued a statement on Twitter. This is from Ben. "Like all of you, I'm utterly stunned and heartbroken and sick to my soul today. It is unimaginable to write these words. I met Charlie Kirk when he was 18 years old, a young man so eager and determined that I immediately turned to a friend and said, 'That kid is going to be the head of the RNC one day.' Charlie became even bigger and more important than that. It was a privilege to watch this principled man stand up for his beliefs and create the single most important conservative political organization in America. But more importantly, Charlie was a good man.